Hey everyone, I'm 17-year-old writer Noah Barfield, author of that absolutely just incredible action fantasy novel Legendland. I don't know why I did that, I don't know. Anyway, thank you for joining me today in Writer's Corner. I hope eventually I say that enough so that it doesn't sound sardonic and sarcastic, because I am actually genuine in my sentiment. Moving on. This week in Writer's Corner, interviews, questions, answers, all of that. Because I've realized that writers in general, but also specifically teen and young writers, which will be my focus today, do not exactly know how to operate under the circumstances of a Q&A type or interview-esque situation. We did not decide, these people, us, who became writers, let us go out and be in front of people on stage or on set, and let us be in front of people on a regular basis. Let us talk to people and socialize for a living. No. We are like, hey, it's 40 degrees outside, but that doesn't matter because it's cozy inside, so I can wear my tank top, no pants, and just write or do whatever the hell I want. It's okay, I'm wearing pants, don't worry about it. So, we weren't those types of people, and I think we just don't know, because of that, we're not used to being asked those types of questions or operating under those circumstances. Now, specifically teen writers, or young writers in general, I don't feel that people see their writing unless you have incredibly supportive families like me or some of my family. But the majority of young writers that I know or have heard of, or what have you, um, their writing is seen as a hobby. So it's like, oh wow, you're doing writing, that's great. Or, this is eventually something you'll get out of, but have fun. No, I know several teen writers who have people act like that towards them, but this is a very serious thing that they want to make a career in their life. I mean, this has never been quite an issue for me, but I realize it is an issue for several people, like lots of people out there. And it's terrible to me that not only are people not supported in that and not taken seriously, but whenever they are taken seriously, they might further increase this stereotype because they're not prepared. Like, what? You're not only interested in taking me seriously, but you're asking me questions so you can find out more about this stuff and then taking it so that you can put that out there so other people can be interested in taking me seriously? What? I just don't know what to do. And most young writers don't. Because in addition to the whole not wanting to be out there and socialize and be on screen thing, which is not all writers, but a lot of them, including me, I don't want to be on screen. This is my compromise. From the safety of my house, I can be on the internet. Anyway, in addition to that, a lot of teen and young writers are not taken as seriously as adult ones. So here are some points specifically that probably adult writers will be able to utilize to help with interviews, but they've probably done job interviews, so these are specifically geared towards young people. So, alright, point 1. There are 2 different types of writers that I know of that I categorize before I get into subcategories. 2 major types. Verbose and not verbose writers. Now point 2. Verbose writers. Verbose writers are... This is how you'll know you're a verbose writer. You enter NaNoWriMo. 50,000 minimum word count, okay? And then you're like, 50,000? Let's quadruple that. No, but seriously, like, you spew words more often than not. I'm a verbose writer. My book is obscenely long, and I've removed clutter from it. There's like no clutter in there that I can find, but there's just a lot of content, and that's what we have a lot of content, we have a lot of conversations, we have a lot of description, there's just a lot of like world stuff that is going on. Every new place, we describe it. Even if we go back to it, maybe there's been changes, so we describe those changes too. Commonly during the editing process, we just have to remove things so that we keep a nice story flow, whether it's fast, slow, whatever we're doing. There's a story flow there that we need to keep with, and with verbose writers, that tends to get out of whack easier. Point 3? 3. Point 3. Sparse writers. I am not a sparse writer, but I know a lot. So this is what I've learned from research and just from knowing different sparse writers. They know the most effective way to get from point A to point B, which is how their story is. It's linear. So let me use the most efficient minimal amount of words to get to this point B, point A, B, whatever point they're going towards. Because why do I need to waste someone's time? I wouldn't want my time to be wasted if I'm reading this book. I already know what this cabin looks like. Yes, you're going back to it. Yes, it's in the winter. We get it. It's snowing. I don't need to know that you can make snow angels. That's obvious. Logic. Okay? So, that is the kind of mentality I run into with sparse writers on a regular basis, and I love it. Because it helps me reduce a lot of clutter. I will give them my stuff, and they will just be like, no, I know what the forest looks like. You've said it's ominous like 15 times. Yes, great. Give me more. So, they commonly during writing have to add more content to their stuff so it seems a little less sparse, a little less barren. Just because they have taken you on this journey in the most efficient, quick manner, so that your time is not being wasted, which is great, but sometimes we want a little bit of our time wasted. Sometimes we want some description, sometimes we want a little more conversation, sometimes we don't want, the words that communicate exactly. We want these characters to fumble a bit, just make them seem human. So, point 4, 5? I don't know. The next point. What do you do if you're asked questions? And you're one of these types of writers. Okay, so quickly here now, because I don't want to take up so much time. Anyway, verbose writers being asked questions. Well, if you're being asked these questions and you're a verbose writer, if you think to yourself, what was their question again? I don't really remember. Let's keep talking. I might remember. No. At that point, you need to be like, well, and that's about it. Even if you have a lot more to say, you should probably stop, because if your throat is feeling dry, if your tongue is like sandpapery, or if you say, hold on, I need to get a drink, nope, you've been talking too long. As a verbose writer, it is great, in my opinion, to be able to condense down your words. To, whenever someone asks you a question, have like the first 2 sentences prepared for your answer. Like, while they're asking their question, like, okay, so what's your book about? And that thought process, think, what genre does my book belong to? Is it action, fantasy? What is... Oh, it's action and fantasy. Okay, my book is an action fantasy novel. Good, good, you're doing good. Next point. Is there something unique about it? It's a fairy tale retelling, actually. Good. How does it differentiate from mainstream fairy tale retellings? Oh, well, it's actually a lot more dark, intense, and grim than what I would commonly consider a fairy tale retelling to be. Good, good, you're doing good. Now, continue asking yourselves these questions. Interview yourself inside your head. Actually, it's great. Like, think of short responses and then just build upon those until you have reached a natural conclusion. And solidify an ending. Like, this is the end. This is where I want to achieve with my goal. Start here, and then it's a very linear. You're not telling a story whenever you're interviewing. You are answering questions, raising up a few more, because it's a linear, like, rolling ball. It's a rolling stone. So you just have to keep it rolling until the interviewer decides to end it. You probably will be able to answer all their questions and have no trouble with that. You'll just have to make sure you don't clog up the interview. Now, this last point, I guess. What if you were a sparse writer and you don't really have answers, or if you do, they're not exactly filled with content? Well, ask yourself 2 questions. First, have they been asking yes or no questions? If you can answer no to that, move on to question 2. Have I given yes or no answers to these questions? Do you think that your characters will be relatable? Yes. Mentally, you'll have to add, and here's why. You'll have to do that. Expand upon it a bit. If you feel like it'd be tricky, I don't care. Do whatever you need to do so that you feel like you have answered the question and raised at least one. So, do you think your characters are going to be relatable? Yes, I actually think my characters are going to be extremely relatable, because even though they're in circumstances that most people won't find themselves in for the majority of their lives, they have very intense but real emotions that I think people can relate to on a primal level. You have raised the question, what kind of circumstances are these people in? We don't know. They might ask that. Or you could expand upon that later, like, well, what's your book about? Well, I said earlier that they have these circumstances that people aren't in, and bridge upon that, like, build upon that. Now, final point that I have to make. As just a big recommendation in general for everyone, don't be stiff. Please don't be stiff and be like, well, ta here, stiffness, and yes, this is my answer, and no. Be a little loose, don't be afraid to move, lean forward, flail a bit, show some personality, smile, laugh, just show that you have a personality to you, which is difficult, and there's no really other way to do it but practice. Speak to a wall, get crazy and talk to stuffed animals and plush toys. Talk to real people. Record yourself or talk in the mirror so you know what your facial expressions are like, so you know how your voice sounds whenever you go up in pitch or whenever you go low in pitch. Know these types of things so that you can give good responses and you don't make an idiot of yourself on TV or over the internet or something like that. It's just horrible to be to want people to be taken seriously, by this, to want yourself to be taken seriously but not be prepared for something as major as an interview or a question and answer segment, and then screw it up and people don't take you so seriously. You have to build up, you build up this credit to yourself. You need to be prepared for that. I would recommend, asking people, if you're going to interview me, what questions would you ask me? You jot down some answers to that. Have at least the first few questions ready. If you're asked a question that in some way resembles something that you already have a pre-prepared answer to, throw that answer out there, but modify it a bit. If you have a question that's similar to one you already have an answer for, modify it and throw it out there. There's a lot of ways, and there's no reason you should not be prepared for this to happen because you're an amazing writer. So eventually, if you take it seriously, people are going to take it seriously. If you have talent, which you obviously do, I mean, you're a creative, awesome person, so people are going to notice that, and people are going to want to know more. So I hope this has been helpful. I really want people to be prepared and for teen writers to have the best available, young writers in general, to have the best available resources at their disposal. And if I can in some way have some positive influence in any manner with whatever I do, even if it's 1,000 seconds long or whatever, even if I'm ended up boring you halfway through, you will at least have taken something from this, which is my goal. So, thank you for watching. If you have any comments or you'd like to contact me in any way, you can do so at my website, www.arc-storm.com, or just leave a comment below. People are doing that now, and I think it's fantastic. I would also love if you would not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, because it's awesome when you do that too. So, just thank you for watching. I hope this has helped, and continue to enjoy.